beautiful people. Welcome to Superhero Roundup Live at Comikaze Superhero Special. Superhero Special. I am Matt Lieberman, and the whole panel from Superhero Roundup Live is here. Give a round of applause to Mr. DJ Wildridge, Mr. Sam Batcher, and the lovely and talented Miss Maud Garrett. Hell yeah. We got amazing guests for you today. We got an awesome show. We're going to be debating all of the amazing things in superhero TV, movies, games, and comics. Of course, we can't forget about the comics. I am dressed as Slave Leia because I mentioned it on the podcast, and someone dared me to do it on Twitter.
That's a New Hope Leia.
Not Slave Leia. You're right. As regular Leia.
In the detention
I don't
center
own the Slave
on
Leia.
The Death Star.
Yeah, but I got leg. I can show leg, and that's all I'm going to do. So, guys, we've been watching a whole bunch of shows on TV. We've been watching Supergirl, premiered this week, Gotham, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Heroes Reborn. We didn't even mention that in the pre-show. We're asking everyone their favorite shows. Anyone's favorite show, Heroes Reborn? No. Yep, okay, that makes it
good.
Last episode was pretty good, but it's not anyone's favorite. We got some awesome guests on the show today. Maud, you want to tell them about our amazing guests?
Yeah, they're pretty spectacular. We're pretty much covering all areas of the superhero genres. So we've kind of selected our guests that specialize in these areas. First up, we'll have Naomi Kyle, who is the host on IGN's Daily Fix. She knows everything about video games. So we're going to talk about superhero games, and, you know, sometimes they work. Most of the times they don't. So we'll have a chat about that. And this is definitely interactive with you guys. If you're not tweeting your questions to us using that hashtag superhero special, we're going to take questions at the end. So jump up and you can scream some out. After that, we're going to move over to TV and comics. And the best person for that job is Tiffany Smith. Now she's on... Yay! She's on DC's very own show, DC All Access, which is puts out shows 5 days a week, and she's also a host on Fandango's Movie Threesome. So she's pretty much covered. Oh, and there's CW Fan Talk as well. So she knows all about these TV shows. So we can have a good chat about that. And last but not least, we've got Dan Casey. Now Dan is on. You can't boo yourself. You can find Dan on the Dan Cave, and he's on Nerdist as well. And he's just written 2 books, and they're called 100 Things Avengers Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die, and 100 Things That Star Wars Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die. So you can, we'll have a chat with him about where you can get those books, and he's been signing, so he's got a little bit of a sore wrist.
You can also find him at Carrie Fisher's booth here at Comikaze. She stole his booth this morning. There. He's real pissed off about it.
So let's get our first guest up, Naomi Kyle, if you want to join us on the panel here. Now, who knows who Naomi is cosplaying as? Go on, yes, right there.
Yeah, the best Pokemon trainer there is.
Yeah, Serena from Pokemon X and Y, for those of you who couldn't hear at home. I want to open this debate, or this discussion. Now, obviously, the Batman Arkham games are excellent. Not uniformly, but very, very, very good.
Not if you're playing on PC.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Very buggy. But besides those games, why do you think it is so hard for developers to come up with a superhero experience that works? Like, why is it so hard to make a great superhero game?
I think it suffers from kind of like how a lot of video game movies were really hard to get right at the start. It's the same thing for superheroes in video games, I feel like. And it just takes trying to gain you guys' confidence. And of course, it takes a certain level of confidence within the creators to want to deliver a game that's original, that's really fun to play. Most importantly, that has proper gameplay and lets some of your favorite characters playable in the game. Like a lot of superhero video games had characters that you couldn't even play that were just there or would die at the start of the game and were really shitty. And I mean, you want to play a game of a character that you love, somebody like Batman, for example, or Spider-Man. I thought Spider-Man 2 was one of the coolest games ever. I don't know if you guys played that, but definitely sort of set the tone for the future of superheroes in video games.
Well, we wouldn't have had any like Arkham City or anything like that without Superman 2. That was the first like open world superhero game that existed.
Exactly, and you could swing from building to building, which is what everybody wanted to do from the get-go. And then it's just about making the character, like, add to the actual story of this character. Don't just rehash a movie plot or rehash what we've seen in like a million comics before that. Like, make that character live and stand on its own. And I think that's what Arkham games did. I think they successfully made Batman a badass guy. And he's larger than life within that game. You know, he doesn't need to live outside of that, like in the Dark Knight movies or anything like that. So,
Naomi, I want to chat to you about your gaming history. Like, you know, why do you love gaming out of all the things? And what are some of the games that you've played that have really kind of influenced you and made you the gamer that you are today?
Well, I think it's cliche a bit, but it's like you get to be a different character. You get to be somebody who lives in a world that you would have never thought possible. I think, you know, there's a lot in the video game world that allows creators to create their own you know, source material, create their own worlds and ideas. And for me, it was being able to explore that and falling in love the same way that you would fall in love with a comic book or a movie. You then fall in love with the characters in these video games that are completely original, that take you beyond, you know, just watching somebody on screen. You're actually being that character. So that kind of kicked it off for me. I fell in love with Tomb Raider at a young age. I fell in love with Crash Bandicoot at a young age. And just being able to game and really be a part of that world that's kind of different from, I don't know, movie watchers and TV watchers, and satisfies the need to, I don't know, micromanage. That's another thing that it's just a psychological problem of mine. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of the thing that I like about it. It's the achievement level that you get to and the satisfaction of achieving those things.
I think superhero games get a really bad rap. Was it Superman 64 that was
one of the worst games of all time?
Game ever? Like, I know that with the Atari they had to bury the ET game. They buried it under the ground. And you were actually at the dig site for that.
I was at the site. They dug it up. It was terrifying to have to see that game again and to relive the terribleness that is that game. But, and yeah, just Superman, actually, talking about superheroes in video games, like Superman himself as a character is hard to make lovable in other media besides comics. I don't know why that is. I mean, we'll see when Batman versus Superman comes out and all that, but yeah.
Isn't the difficulty, and I feel like this, and let's open this to the whole panel, like, isn't the difficulty that a lot of these, especially overpowered superheroes, it's impossible to replicate their powers in a way that doesn't feel cheap and can still achieve a story. Like, even when the Superman Returns game came out, I mean, how can you be Superman and not want to fly around the entire world? Like, once you break that reality, like, that's why the Arkham games work so well, is Gotham City just works, right?
Yeah, it's a realistic, relatable world. It's got tons of story, and it's grounded in sort of like a realistic thing.
A reality within that world.
Yeah, and the characters are really, really great. Like, what do you go like beyond Superman? How do you add in characters that are as lovable? You know, I mean, then again, I prefer Batman over Superman, just in my opinion. Sorry, what'd you say?
You help Jimmy Olsen pick out photos.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a fun mini game.
I think the other thing that Naomi's kind of touching on is the idea that a lot of superhero games are cash grabs. Tied in with like games or movies.
Right.
I think to make them special, you'd have to specifically, which is what they did with the Arkham games, specifically try and tailor the game experience to the character.
To live on its own.
Which would take effort.
Also, like,
just slapping the name on it and making some money.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Adopting a movie as a video game, like
it's not great, and
it
that's
doesn't
why
work.
I like Injustice a lot, because it's an original story. If you guys aren't reading the comic, shame on you, because it's amazing. It's amazing. It's a great comic. And also, hey, thank you. I also really like the Lego games because those are original stories as well, and you get to explore a wide variety of the characters, and like, because it's it's a cartoon, so you don't need anything grounded really. They can just have as much fun as you want.
Another good superhero game was the Ultimate Alliance games and the X-Men
I
Legend
really like
games.
those.
Yeah, those were a lot of fun.
You guys play those games? Yeah.
So it's like trying to figure out what and for some reason the gaming studios haven't got this, because they will still see a movie and they're like, oh, that made so much money, so if we just made a game version of that, the money will come in. It's
E.T.
like, no,
over and over and over again.
literally.
Literally.
So games like Injustice, which are fighter games, and it's like choose your character, and it's almost like the Mortal Kombat's, the Street Fighters, that really works because if they're superheroes, you should be using them to fight, right? Isn't that what they're known for?
That's
Isn't
the
that
whole
what
point.
they do? But then you was talking about, remember Infamous, which is technically a superhero game. It was released, there's Infamous and Infamous 2, which is a PlayStation exclusive game. And this guy gets powers, and he can kind of fly around and jump around the city, and but he also has like a moral dilemma of whether he wants to use it for good or bad. So I kind of want to open it up to everyone. What makes a good superhero video game? Toys.
Toys.
Oh, the choice.
Choice.
Having a choice. So having like RPG elements. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think the story is really important. I mean, I would love to see a Telltale game based off video games or superheroes. Sorry,
That'd be great.
I keep mixing the two.
Oh, right. They're coming with Marvel, correct?
Yeah,
Marvel
I
and
mean-
Telltale are working together.
That's focused on story and good storytelling, which, you know, yeah, it's cool you can fight and stuff, and gameplay's super, super important. If you mess that up, then you're just shame on you. But yeah, I think that's for me anyways. It's about the story. It's about creating lovable characters, like having great voice actors and just really, you know, actors who really get into the characters and really become them. I think that's really something I like.
And it's also, it just, for me, like it will always come down to when I pick up the controller, when I play, do I feel like the hero?
Yeah.
And that's why Batman works well, because, okay, he's a fighter and he's a detective. You can replicate both of those things in a video game environment. Spider-Man isn't overpowered, so as long as you can swing and as long as you can fight, then that feels real. But, like, you know, it would be hard. You couldn't make a Flash game that didn't feel like Temple Run at some point.
Yeah.
I think you could. You just have to. It would take a lot of energy to kind of crack. You'd have to make a new type of game.
And it's
Yeah.
the same like problem if you were to do a teleporter game. Like, did anybody play X-Men 2 game? It's not great, but Nightcrawler was a playable character, and all you could really do was point, click, point, click, point, click. You don't get to really capture
Are
the
you
fun.
talking about like the old Genesis X-Men 2 game?
No, the movie X-Men 2.
Oh,
The movie.
no.
I
The
remember
movie.
that game though because you could play Magneto, and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, that's where actually you bring up X-Men. Like, I think it would be great to have an X-Men MMO game, like something like League of Legends, but with X-Men characters.
I think they.
Do they have something like that?
Marvel had, I swear, the Marvel
Well, no,
had a-
DC had DC Universe
DC,
Online. I
yeah.
don't know that Marvel ever had an MMO, but like maybe more of a MOBA, something that's kind of between
Yes.
like that MMO experience and that Marvel Ultimate Alliance experience
Yeah,
would make more
mesh
sense.
together.
Because like I played City of Heroes for like 2 years, and I'll freely admit, as much time as I spent, it was not a good game. It was not always fun. It's you go to the place, you fight the thugs, you get the experience. You go to the place, you fight the thugs, you get the experience. At some point, you want something deeper than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we say? We go down the panel and talk about your favorite superhero video game.
Oh.
Matt, who's got one first? Favorite superhero video game.
Oh man,
The
that's
one that worked the best and what you enjoyed about it.
freaking hard. I mean, Arkham City's pretty up there. But I would say, like, the first time I ever played a superhero game that felt like a superhero game was the original Spider-Man on PlayStation.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Well,
like,
Spider-Man 2 after that.
Spider-Man
for me.
2, yeah, on the next generation was like like when they really capitalized on that
Yeah.
concept. They didn't have a full open environment yet. They didn't have a full city with city streets yet. You know, if you fell, you fell, and that was just the end of you. It's like you fall into just gray sky and you're
Like
done.
Uncharted, that demo, by the way. Uncharted
Yeah.
4. Anyway.
But it was like the first time that you felt like, okay, I can
Shade
grab
grown.
somebody, I can grab their weapon with my web, I can swing, and it felt real for the first time. And that was it was really, really cool. It had an original story. It was great.
DJ, have you got one?
I mean, obviously the Arkham games are probably the best, but I'm gonna throw back to the old X-Men arcade game.
Yeah,
Oh,
boy.
That was a lot of fun.
damn.
That was
Good
a lot
one.
of
That
fun.
took a lot of my money when I was a kid. I want to say Injustice. I want to say one of the Lego Batman games because those are amazing, and the Lego Marvel games that are coming out are pretty cool too. But I think it goes to the Ultimate Spider-Man game. It was a comic book style game. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Its own story, and you could play as Venom, and
Yep,
you could go
always cool.
wherever you wanted. That was amazing.
Any game where I could play as Venom had my money when I was younger.
And Carnage at
Maximum
some point.
Carnage. Yeah.
I think I
Spoilers.
like my superhero games fighting style, so I'm going to actually be a little bit cheeky and say Marvel versus Capcom.
Oh,
That's
hell
a
yeah.
good one.
Oh yeah. So that's mine. And I'm a button grinder, but it works, so whatever.
The Batman Arkham games, honestly. Spider-Man 2 is like a close second to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's just good.
While we've got Naomi up here, has anyone got a question? We'll throw it to the audience. Has anyone got it? Don't be shy.
Don't be shy,
There we
and
go.
I'll
Did
repeat them
wanna
for you. Stand up.
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord! Oh my god, I love you.
He asked, do you think Ronda Rousey would make a good Captain Marvel?
I think Naomi Kyle would make a good Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Personally.
I'm still gunning for Batgirl, but whatever. No, I agree. I would love to play any superhero, but yeah, she totally would be a great Captain Marvel. Yeah,
Someone said in the
okay,
crowd
that's true.
she's
I
not
saw
an
her in
actress.
Entourage. She wasn't that great, just to be honest. I didn't like
But
her
to be fair,
acting,
that was
but
Entourage.
I don't know.
That
There's
might not be
room
her
for
fault.
improvement, and if she can get better, then yeah, she's a real fighter, and that's a huge part of doing the choreography for that. If they were to film a Captain Marvel movie, yeah. Wait, they are, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are going to make it with or without her. They're going to make a Captain Marvel movie.
Who do you think should be cast?
What?
Who do we think should be cast?
Oh no.
Katie Sackhoff.
Freaking
Spur
hard.
of the moment question.
Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah, Katie Sackhoff for me.
Oh, that would be so good.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
Natalie Dormer real bad. That's the girl from the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah,
and
but you
Game of
don't
Thrones.
want her for the role, you just
Yeah.
want her, full stop.
She's not responding to my tweets.
So I think we're going to move on from the gaming thing. Guys, give it up for Naomi Kyle
Yeah.
talking about video
Thanks,
games.
guys. Thank you.
Quickly, where can people find you?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Naomi Kyle and Facebook, Naomi Kyle Fans, Instagram, The Naomi Kyle, and I'm also doing all kinds of stuff. I have a birthday bash coming up. I have a bunch of stuff. If you check out my social media, it's all promoted there. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Woo! Who here is a gamer? Have we got a lot of gamers here? Who here watches their TV shows and reads their comics? There should be everyone in
There
this
you
room.
go.
Yeah, boy. Don't be shy.
So to talk about TV and comics, we've got DC All Accesses and Fandango Movie Threesomes, Tiffany Smith.
Oh!
Who knows who Tiffany is cosplaying as?
Yay.
Guys,
Nice.
raise your hands, huh?
You look good, girl.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm glad you're sorry.
I feel
Everyone
like I'm
needs to
here
be
with my
sorry.
peeps, though. Last night I got in the car dressed as this, and my boyfriend was dressed as Constantine. He goes, "Are you guys a detective and a magician?" And I was like, "No." Well, kind of. I guess you could say that.
It's like technically.
Yeah.
Technically,
Yeah.
and
If
technically
you
that
wanna get
applies to either
technical.
of them.
So, Tiff, you know comic books better than pretty much anyone else I know, apart from maybe DJ. You guys can go head to head with that one. And I kind of wanted to use this panel here to talk about not only television shows that we all love and watch, but the comics as well. Because for me, I don't read comic books except the Star Wars comics. And it's really intimidating because there's so many out there. So I kind of wanted to use this as a chance to be like, what are the cool superhero comics that are really doing well at the moment?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I always tell people a good place to start sometimes is with Vertigo titles, possibly sometimes because they're a little bit newer. They may start with an issue 1 a little bit more frequently than the main DC titles. But I think there's something for everybody. I mean, for me right now, I'm on a huge James Bond kick, so I've been obsessed with Grayson. If you guys are not reading the Grayson comic and you like James Bond, this is a great one for you. It's from Tim Seeley. He works for Spiral, but it's just like a totally new take on the character, which I really love. And then I think the young Gotham, everything that DC is doing with Gotham Academy, the stuff that they're doing with Batgirl and Black Canary is really exciting. And I think because of the fact that it's a new take on them, anybody can jump in at that point. And there's so much stuff involved in it that's pop culture related that I feel like people can just jump in on.
I've got another question, and I want to address this to everyone. I've been too shy to ask this from the start, but remember how we all watched the Gods and Monsters one, and I was like, "Who's that?" And they're like, "That's Superman." I was like, "What? Why and how are these characters constantly evolving? Because there's time travel, there's different worlds, there's reimaginings, there's let's try and do this again, but in an alternate universe. What's happening?"
You just want to reach a wider
They've
audience.
been around for
Yeah.
75 years. You know, you got to shake. And also, if you're talking about like Batman and Superman, they have like half a dozen comics coming out every month. So you know, you need to shake things
Yeah.
up.
Like I just tried to like get into Superman, and there's 4 different. There's Superman and Wonder Woman, Superman, and
Action
Batman,
Comics.
Action Comics,
just
Superman.
pick up Action Comics.
Yeah. So I'm trying to
Action
like
Comics
keep
is
Action
great.
Comics is where it's at.
Yeah, no, that's what I've been learning
Yeah,
painfully
yeah,
through
yeah,
all of
Action
that. But
Comics.
it's a little daunting, but
How do you make it? Yeah, I know, overwhelming.
Well, I think it's that's
Whelming.
what they're trying to do with the TV shows as well, where it's like people hear multiverse and 52 different Earths, and it's like, what are you talking about?
What's going on?
But yeah, but I think that Flash is doing a great job of kind of introducing people to, okay, here's Earth 1, here's Earth 2. It's a little bit different. We're not going to blow your mind just yet, but at the same time, I think it's opened everybody's minds up to, okay, another version of the character can show up, and you're not like, they completely changed it. And you're like, well, they're from a different Earth. It's kind of like an easy out.
I mean, you also look at like just talking about like Marvel versus DC, and they both had these big big events, Convergence and Secret Wars. And, you know, on Marvel's end, it was like, no, we're crushing everything. We're starting over completely fresh. But then I think it's really cool what DC is doing, where they're giving the power back to the creators, where they're saying, you know, at the end of all this, we still feel like you can go do whatever you want. Whatever's going to tell the best story, let's go do. So I feel like, you know, even if it's a little intimidating to get started, the freedom there and the kinds of stories you're getting there are really original and interesting.
Well, and like, let's be honest, how many Dark Knight fans do we have in here? Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. Okay, so DK3 is coming out. Yeah. And
did you see some of the covers for that?
they're mind-blowingly awesome. But you talk about somebody like Frank Miller, where it's like,
Frank Miller drew one of the most revolting Supermans I've ever seen in my life.
But there's never been a version. You'd never seen Superman that way
Thank
until
God.
Frank did it. I think there are people in here that liked it. Raise your hand if you liked it.
The guy with the fat neck looks like he'd been
Yeah.
beaten up
I
every day
think
of
the
his
best
life.
argument
and
to
he's-
pick up Dark Knight 3 is Brian Azzarello.
Yeah.
Well,
in my
but I
opinion.
think that, okay, Dark Knight Returns, though, nobody can say that what Frank did was not amazing and changed the game for Batman.
Sure, but if we talk about The Dark Knight Strikes Again...
We don't.
Oh, it's like the prequels. Okay, cool.
Oh, I'm talking about The Dark Knight Strikes Again, Professor X. Oh, sorry, Luthor. I'm sorry, Luthor.
But that's where it's like, where you're
I
talking
forgot
about
about your
giving
kryptonite
the
dagger.
creators power and being
Yeah.
able to let them do what they kind of have a passion for. And Brian does the exact same thing, Brian Azzarello, so.
Yeah, I think another thing, what I would recommend to people wanting to get in the comics, and I don't know how Tiffany feels about this, but try things you like, but I think eventually your safest bet is to follow creators that you enjoy and not characters.
That's been helping me because I tried to get into Teen Titans, and that's a little confusing for you if you want to like get into the New 52 everything,
yeah.
because they already have established characters that you're supposed to already kind of know about, and when they all band together and use their powers at the same time, I get lost. So, and also a good cheat code is Wikipedia, because that if you just
agreed.
want to learn who's Spectre, who's Mr. Mixie.
Yeah,
Clips,
it really
ooh.
is. Like, the
Yeah.
internet's a good, don't feel daunted by anything. And a lot of comics, they want you to buy them and read them. So there's a little, recap at the beginning.
Yeah.
But try things that look cool, like what they're doing, like you were saying, Black Canary, Batgirl,
Yep.
Young Gotham stuff. But then, Greg Pak's writing Superman, cool, I'm going to read that.
Yeah. And if you're still confused, you could watch Superhero 101 on SourceFedNERD with
Thank
Sam
you.
Barrett.
that.
I'm a big fan of that show personally. Also, Cyborg and Starfire have their own series right now, and I'm a big fan of them. And you guys like Teen Titans?
Yeah, I was like, Teen Titans Go.
Might be a really good idea if we go through the panel, because I could learn, and I know that there's so many comics out there that recommendations are always welcome. Should we tell everyone what we're currently reading and recommend a series that you thought did a really good job with the superhero genre, whether it's a particular character or it's a particular arc? Who wants to start with that one?
I'll say Injustice, because it's really easy to get into. It's based on a video game, so play the video game because the video game's awesome. And then you hop into the comics and it explains what led to this world becoming like Batman versus Superman and like everybody who's split and divided. But that's really easy to pick up, and the comics are really short. So if you have a short attention span or you just want to get in really quick, I have that.
Can I borrow them?
Yes, you can borrow it. Yes. Everyone will get the login to my Comixology account. We'll all read it together, okay?
You'll read it aloud
Yes.
by yourself in your apartment?
Yes,
Like you're reading the Star Wars
on
script?
Periscope. Yeah.
So currently reading Injustice or currently recommending Injustice?
Recommending.
Okay, what are you reading right now then?
Like 50 of them. Oh, Red Hood and Arsenal. There you go. That's a fun one. The Outlaws was really cool, but right now they're just by themselves, and they have in the first issue they had this really cool video game style way of fighting. So they had a platformer way of dealing with people in Paris. It was great. It was really awesome. I love the art style.
Cool.
So I am reading every book that DC puts out.
Lucky.
But I would say, obviously, like I mentioned, the Young Gotham stuff, but Black Canary, Grayson, there's a lot of new titles coming out from Vertigo. So Art Ops, Gail Simone just started writing Clean Room, which is, if you like scary, dark, definitely check that out. Survivors Club. If you like horror films, that's another good one. I'm talking about all this dark stuff, which is not my personality, but I enjoy reading comics. So that's some of the stuff I'm reading now. As far as recommendation, and I just started rereading Preacher because I wanted to get ready for
That's what I'm doing
the
too.
show. Yeah. But as far as things to pick up, I definitely think The Dark Knight Returns is a great one to pick up if you want to get kind of the flavor of what we have as Batman now. I think The Flash Rebirth is an amazing Flash book to check out. Anything about Supergirl right now, if you want to get into the show. We just did a really great breakdown on DC All Access, kind of getting people into who this character is, what her background is. And I think my biggest recommendation is don't ever be scared to ask people questions. If you don't know who a character is, don't worry. Ask somebody. Don't feel like they're going to nerd shame you, because if they're doing that, then they're not a cool nerd, and they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, nerd shaming sucks.
90% of the conversations I have with DJ are asking questions about comic book characters, so it's okay.
Matt?
I'm not reading anything new currently. I'm working my way back through Preacher right now, and I'll always recommend Astro City, because Astro City is amazing.
good.
And Kurt Busiek's awesome. Yeah. If I
Deep
got a
cuts,
clap from
deep
Dan,
cuts.
I know I'm in good shape. So yeah, if you haven't read Astro City, if you haven't read Why the Last Man, what are you doing here? Leave this show right now and go do that.
No,
'cause that
wait.
sounds like a better use of your time.
I'm reading Action Comics and Black Canary, and I recommend 100 Bullets and Warren Ellis's Moon Knight.
Hell yeah.
Moon Knight.
I hear
Oh,
Moon Knight's
Moon
really
Knight.
good.
Moon, another one of like deep cut. If you like Batman.
Yep.
If you like Batman,
If
you'll
you
like
want to see
Moon Knight.
Batman in a suit
Punisher.
kicking ass.
Yeah, let's really quickly talk about some of these CW shows, because that's what we focus on a lot. Arrow, The Flash. I mean, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not on that, but it's still great as well. So on our show, hold on, let's all say them together. Arrow, The Flash, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
iZombie,
Heroes
Gotham.
Reborn, Gotham.
Supergirl.
There's a lot of
Supergirl.
And Supergirl.
Supergirl, yeah.
So what we love to encourage everyone to do is to rate them from best to worst. Where you feel these shows fit for you. What one's your favorite, and what one are you just not loving?
That's really hard.
Pressure.
It's like, here's the thing. No one sets out to make something that's bad. It just may not be for you, per se. And I think all of the shows have had episodes where I'm like, yes, and then other episodes where I'm like, well, yes.
Who is Gotham for?
Me. Also, my parents.
Okay.
Gotham, I
Fair
think,
answer.
what I think is interesting about Gotham is they tried something the first season where they did a villain an episode, and it didn't necessarily hit with everyone. But then what they're doing now, which I think they saw when they brought Milo Ventimiglia's character on, that if they did a longer arc with the villains, people would be a bit more interested. And now I feel like that's what they're trying to be true to, is developing these characters, because DC is fantastic with their villains. So I think if you're into the villains more, then you're gonna like Gotham right now. Supergirl, I think, did an awesome job. I was just a huge Smallville fan, like loved Smallville so much. Yeah. So I feel like Supergirl is along that line with a little bit of Flash infused in there as well. And I think what I just love about all the shows is the fact that they're doing such a great job of introing other characters, where we've never seen something where it's like Constantine is going to be on Arrow this week, which we've seen crossovers on the same network, but I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but I'm like, I don't think there's ever been a crossover from network to network for characters. So that's pretty cool. And then how they're introing all the Legends of Tomorrow characters on Flash and Arrow, it's just, I love what they're doing. There's nothing for me where it's a misstep, really, because I think at this point there's so much great stuff coming out that everybody can pick something that fits for them, and that's cool.
You should be a politician. Tiffany Smith, everybody.
Yeah!
Where can people find you and talk more with you and getting into all your comic and TV stuff?
So Maud mentioned I do DC All Access 5 days a week on DC's YouTube channel. I host a show for Fandango called Movie Threesome, where we talk movies and do silly pranks, like I had to eat crickets this week because I lost a bet. It was disgusting.
okay.
And then every Tuesday, I just started hosting CW Fan Talk The Flash, so it's a pre-show for that. You guys can all get involved in the chat room, video calling. It's a lot of fun. And then just follow me on social media at Tiffany's Tweets. I promote all my stuff there because it's kind of crazy every week. I don't even know where I'm going to be tomorrow, so there's that.
Very cool.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
So last but not least, let's talk movies. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Come on up here.
Hey, definitely Elise. Definitely Elise. The other two guests are much better. I'm sorry to disappoint.
Come now.
Yes.
So this book, 100 Things That Avengers Fans Should Know and Do Before They Die.
Yes, exactly 100, no more, no less.
So how did this idea come about? Were you just like, yeah, I could name 100?
I was like, you know what? I hate sleep. No, I got hit up over the summer by a publisher called Triumph Books. They saw I write for a website called Nerdist.com, and
Who goes
they,
there, huh?
I do
Yeah.
every day to the back end. And then they saw that I was writing a lot about comic books, and I grew up reading them. And so they asked me if I would be interested, and I said, yes, please, yes, 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 please, let me write this. And then I sort of gave them an idea of what I would want to write, and then they just kind of let me loose. And then
Is there anything out of that obviously you would have researched and figured out all the 100? Did you learn something about it with this book?
Yeah, I think some of the coolest stuff I learned was about a lot of the creators, because I definitely wanted to shine a light on some of the creative people behind it. Like, you know Stan Lee, but also Jack Kirby, Jerry Conway. You want all these people that are involved in creating some of the characters you know and love, and as opposed to just like the characters and their backstories themselves.
If you're doing 100 things that Avengers fans should do, does that mean you're Marvel over DC?
No, it doesn't. I think that all comics are equally important.
Yay.
Listen, here's the thing.
Diplomatic
When I was younger, I used to read DC primarily because I liked them. They were very archetypal. I loved Justice League because it had all my characters together in one single place. But then as I got older, I liked Marvel a little bit more in certain regards because their characters are a little more grounded, a little more human. Peter Parker can't pay his rent. I can't pay mine. So it's something that you can relate to. But I still appreciate them for different reasons. And fun fact, the Avengers is just a straight-up rip-off of Justice League. Came out of a golf game between the publisher of Marvel Comics and DC Comics playing together. And then he came back to Stan Lee. He's like, I want you to make this. And Stan Lee's like, here's the Fantastic Four. And then he's like, no, that's not what I want at all. So he tried again. And then they made Avengers.
That's awesome.
There you go.
I was doing some research on Marvel and DC ripoffs, and when I heard about Darkseid and Thanos, I was like, that was straight up. He's like, hey, if you're going to copy one of the new gods, make it the cool one.
Exactly,
Copy
yeah.
Darkseid.
Straight up, yeah. One of the other ones, Deadpool, is a straight-up parody of Deathstroke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right down to the
Hey,
nail.
Yeah.
You're a parody.
Yeah. You're not on Arrow.
So I've got to ask, who's your favorite character? Who do you feel like you
question.
relate to the
my
most?
favorite character is, after writing this book, my favorite character for Marvel or for Avengers or just like period or this is a lot. Oh God, overwhelming. Let's go with the Vision. I really like the Vision. Victor Shade. He's a cool guy. Definitely a tragic backstory, and just the first comic where he's introduced is so creepy because it's like this weird horror film setup where he's lurking outside of Janet Van Dyne, the wasp's apartment, and then she's just like looking at her through the window, and all of a sudden his hand comes bursting through the wall. She's just screaming, and then it's terrifying. You don't know who this is, and then it sort of gets a little hokey because early Marvel was a little hokey. But if you look at his story and like overall, it's really cool. It's this poor, super intelligent robot who was created by a hyper intelligent murder bot to show that he could create life too. Ultron created the Vision. If you guys have seen the movies or read the comics, spoiler. If you haven't seen it, come on, guys. It's out on DVD and Blu-ray. So it's just really cool. And then he had that whole thing where he had kids with Scarlet Witch, but they weren't kids. They were her imagination, and the whole Marvel universe unraveled.
It
Sure.
gets a little complicated.
Like you do.
Avengers Disassembled. Look it up. Things get real weird. Then House of M. No more mutants. Bye, X-Men. Sorry about that.
So we are in the age of superhero movies. We've seen a lot come out. We've seen both Marvel and DC slate forward up until like 2020 about the movies. What ones have you enjoyed thus far? Which ones do you think have been paving the path? And which ones are you really looking forward to?
Ooh, good question. I gotta give it back. I gotta give it up for the original Spider-Man movie, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yes.
That one was the first time I really saw a superhero movie. Obviously I love Batman and stuff like that, but that to me just felt like the comic book come to life. Say what you will now, I rewatched it recently and everything doesn't hold up. Willem Dafoe has resting
disagree.
goblin face. But what's up?
I rewatched it recently, and I disagree.
You disagree? It does. Well,
does hold up.
I think compared to what you expect from a modern superhero movie, it holds up for the time, but I don't think if you were to stack it up against like a Guardians or like.
I think it's way better than Guardians.
He doesn't he doesn't like the Guardians of the Galaxy
Guys,
for
let's
some
not
weird
do
reason.
this here.
Yeah.
We don't want to spill any blood at Comikaze. This is holy ground.
So what do you think about Iron Man 2?
Oh boy.
It's also not. I think Marvel's only made 2 really good movies.
Oh man.
What are those two?
Winter Soldier and the first Avengers.
And the Incredible Hulk, Ang Lee's version.
Hey, that was a comic book movie
That's
come
just
to
Hulk.
life.
That's not incredible.
Oh, sorry.
Louis Leterrier.
No, that was my editorializing. It was incredible.
So looking ahead, which movies are you just like, yes, yes, yes?
Looking ahead, I'm excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. No, I'm excited for Black Panther. I'm excited for Civil War. I got to visit the set, and Jesus Christ, you guys, it's going to be
still
so
embargoed?
good. I'm still embargoed,
Damn.
but I did see the D23 footage, and it looks fantastic. You didn't like it? You didn't
No,
like
I'm
it?
excited.
Oh, I thought that was an disagree.
Disagree. I was also on set, and I thought it was pretty lame.
The craft services were appalling. Who serves pasta? And I'm also really excited for Wonder Woman. After there were some details that came out earlier this week. It's actually going to be a prequel to Batman versus Superman. And the Invisible Jet is going to be there. It's going to be split between World War I and modern day. They're going to fight against Ares and Cersei. And I don't know. I'm very excited because Wonder Woman has gotten continual short shrift for pretty much the entirety of the time there has been television or movies that could possibly feature her. So I'm ready. I want a good Wonder Woman movie, and I think this is I'm choosing to be optimistic about the DC cinematic universe.
I'm going to throw that question back to the rest of the panel. What is a superhero movie that's already come out that you feel really paved the path and that you love to death? And what movie are you looking forward to coming up?
Ooh, Spider-Man 2 is up there because something about that movie kind of resonated with me when I was a kid. I love it. Guardians of the Galaxy was really cool.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I liked. It was a team dynamic where you didn't need to have a solo movie for everybody to introduce them, and it felt balanced still. So I appreciated that. And Captain America: Civil War made Captain America cool. That was apparently not hard to do. So yeah.
I mean, definitely the early Spider-Man, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2. X-Men 2, I don't think gets enough credit. Because it was honestly like X-Men, they got a lot right, but it still wasn't quite there. I feel like that was the first one that really got that comic book feeling right. Because as great as Tim Burton Batmans were, and as great as I love Dick Donner's Superman the movie and the Superman 2 Dick Donner cut, but none of them really feel quite right. Like that movie hums on all cylinders. So like X2 definitely. I'm really looking forward to Civil War, and honestly, I want Batman v Superman to blow me out of my seat. Like when I was a kid, it was always DC. I've always been a DC fan. Those are my people, and I want it to work, guys. God.
We all want it to work.
We all want it to work.
I don't know.
So
Sometimes
bad.
I'm not sure.
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies have been mentioned a lot, and the first Spider-Man is the first movie I legit fell in love with. But I'm going to say Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight because it's just legitimately a good movie. You don't have to care at all about the characters for it to function as a really solid movie. And the movie I'm most excited about is probably hopeful for is Batman v Superman. I really want it to be good.
Man,
Also
it's gonna be
excited
on
for-
camera. It's gonna be so cool.
Also excited for Deadpool because we haven't seen like a solid R-rated Marvel or DC movie yet.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
true.
Two of the best movies that I saw, was it last year? Was Guardians of the Galaxy and X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Oh,
Like,
damn. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great movie.
I remember just my jaw dropped at the end of that, and I couldn't stop talking about it, and I lost it. And then I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, oh, damn it, that was really good too. So if we can continue that, I like humor in my movies, so I'm going to go with Deadpool as well. Like, I'm really excited for that. Oh, hold on. Sorry. When I interviewed Ryan Reynolds.
You dropped something there.
Yeah, is that? Oh, it's his name. Sorry. He's just so excited about this project. And I said project, and that's fine. We're dealing with that. So yeah, I think because of his passion, he wants this to work more than anything. So I think it's going to be good, guys.
I wanted to work for Ryan Reynolds. He's so excited. I've never seen an actor more excited about a superhero part before.
Yeah.
I also visited that set and it looks really good.
So let's have some audience questions here, guys. If you've got anything, whack your hand up, yell out. We've had one from you, so we're going to go mask at the back there. Hey, it's
Nightwing.
Nightwing. There it is.
Thank you for your service to Bloodhaven.
Superman.
A Broadway musical of Batman or Superman. Superman's already had a musical.
So is Batman.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Okay, a modern one, a modern musical that sticks to the source material.
I want Stephen Sondheim's Superman Red Sun.
Wow. Bold.
I want a Batman that's like, what's the take of Romeo and Juliet, but it's in New York in the 50s, Jets in the...
Guys and Dolls?
Gotham Side
Oh,
Story.
West Side Story?
West Side Story.
Gotham
West
Side Story?
in Gotham with Batman. I want him snapping with all of his
Crazy.
Robins and like coming down the
Cool.
street. And then
Batman.
Joker. And like it's like Joker, Killer Croc, and like Riddler. And then, oh my God, no, it's Riddler, Joker. It's all the ones from the Adam West show, and they're all coming down the street like snapping their fingers.
Bam. Ow.
Think about
Yeah.
and they.
Biff
I
Powell
got excited.
reprise.
I got really excited about
Sam,
this
you can't get
idea.
excited in that flash suit.
No.
I've got another question, yeah.
No. Sorry. I don't think so.
Probably not.
It seemed like a bad idea from the
Drew
start.
Goddard had a bunch of options in front of him, and I unfortunately feel like maybe he picked the wrong horse out of none, not his fault at all.
Yeah. Well, no, he just kind of got screwed over in that
he
whole
could've-
situation.
Yeah, because he had
That
Daredevil,
Sony
he had The
hacks.
Martian, and he had Sinister Six, and one of those isn't getting
Yeah.
made.
I mean, you got them in Amazing Spider-Man 2, right? Remember that?
No.
When you got the Sinister Six in Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that guy that whoever the hell he was who was in that place wherever the hell it was, and it
Yeah.
was real confusing? Cool.
Is it Daniel, did you have one? David, sorry, buddy. I got a D and I
I'm
went with it.
Daniel.
Do you think that the 20th Century Fox will ever sell the Fantastic Four rights back to Marvel?
I think they're gonna try a TV show, if I'm being honest. I mean, that's what you always talk about. Like, there'd be a cool TV show.
It would be a really cool TV. I mean, most X-Men would be. I think superheroes are better served as TV shows than movies. If I'm being
I think a
honest.
better question is, will we ever see a good Fantastic Four?
I mean, I think.
Hey, okay, does anyone like the original, like the 2005 one? No.
Does anybody,
Okay, I got
Does anybody like the original Roger Corman one? See?
Has anyone
I
seen
was
it?
young.
Has anyone
We all like
seen
terrible things when we're young. Fern Gully is garbage. I rewatched it recently.
It is?
It does not hold up. It is like terrible Pocahontas. Bad. Don't watch
really
it.
does not.
Okay, who likes Edward Norton's Hulk? Does anyone in this?
I do.
I got a few.
not bad.
It's not bad. It's just kind of swept under the rug.
But not bad is not good.
hey, hey.
Here's the thing with Fantastic Four. There's no good reason for Fox to give Fantastic Four back to Marvel because there's nothing that Marvel is going to give them that would be worth it. And right now, the franchise is so toxic, it would require them showing up in another movie and really having an amazing wow moment for anyone to want to go see that movie again. Like, no matter how good the trailer is, we've been around this now twice, and it hasn't hit really both times. So unless they can, it's like an impossible situation because you'd have to sell it to Marvel in order to put them in a movie that would make them popular again, so that the franchise would be worth something, so that they could then make a movie. And it's too complicated.
Or make a deal like they did with Spider-Man.
Sure.
Where Sony's still making or Fox is still making the money.
But I feel like Marvel doesn't care enough because, like, I mean, they canceled the comic. The awareness of the property is at an all-time low. Spider-Man, of course, they were going to do anything they could to get those rights back because he is so valuable.
I'd say in the next 10 years, sometime we'll probably see another Fantastic
I
Four show
think
or
they're.
movie or something.
I agree. I think their best bet though is just to jump right into Fantastic Four and X-Men crossover. Don't bother with like what they're doing with Batman versus Superman. Don't bother with another like solo movie. Throw them into a property that you know that works and make them work there, and just get better creative types on board.
Ooh, what if there's an after-credit scene for Apocalypse and the Fantastic Four show
More
up
there.
at the
I
end
want to
of it?
talk to you about the Fantastic Initiative.
Guys, that is all we have time for. But if we want to continue the discussion, we are all on Twitter. Dan, where can people find you?
You can find me at Osteoferocious, like the crippling bone disease, but meaner. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook there. I think you can find me at Dan Casey. Someone has at Dan Casey on Twitter. He has not tweeted ever. Just a picture of him at Coachella. I want your Twitter handle. Give it to me.
You didn't think at Dan Casey 1 or at Dan Casey underscore?
Or at-
And
Dan
cheapen my
Casey?
name with math? No.
Also, the Dan Cave and the Nerdist shows. Tell me about those.
Yes,
quickly.
you can find all my stuff on Nerdist.com. It's all on social media, and my two books, 100 Things Avengers fans and 100 Things Star Wars fans should know before they die, are available now where fine books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or me behind this building later today.
Yes, are you going to be back at the booth?
No, I won't. Actually, that was a misnomer. I was trying to be fun. Carrie Fisher stole my booth earlier, but I signed my books from 10 to 1, so I didn't see you guys. I'm sorry. Unless I did, in which case, thank you so much.
Fantastic. I think that's. If guys, I'm at Maud Garrett on Twitter, all the likes, and I also have a company called Geek Bomb, which is all about being comfortable being a geek and having fun. I run that and a bunch of girls in Australia, which is really cool. And what we do this every Friday, 1 o'clock.
Every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yep.
On SourceFedNERD.
Everyone in
Tune
this
in.
room has homework now. You have to watch an episode. Just one, please.
All previous episodes.
Sam, where can people find you?
You can find me Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, Vine, Snapchat, whatever. You can at Sam Basher. It's easy.
Where can they find your book?
My book? Oh, you can find my book. I'll sell it to you on Dropbox or some shit. I don't know. It will be 5 pages, mostly pictures. Okay.
What What about you, DJ?
DJ talks trash everywhere that matters.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. Thank you guys so much for coming. Huge round of applause. Big thank you to Naomi and Tiffany